Good Tuesday morning. My name is Jerry Miller, and welcome to Real Talk. This is an insider's guide to real estate, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness on the I Love CVille Network, powered by the Y.E.S team Realtors. This show is going to be great. We have green across the board on Wall Street. We got the distinguished gentleman in absolute fantastic form, and Judah Wickower, the esteemed director, is willing and ready and excited to offer a monologue on today's program on mortgage rates and where they are heading in Q3 and Q4. He just doesn't know that yet. I'm joking, Judah Wickower. Let's go to the studio camera.
You taking my job?
He's got a new mask, the distinguished
Yeah,
chef. I love it.
Yeah, I'm loving it. I got my new mustache mask. Shows up hopefully a little bit better. It's steaming up my glasses a little bit. It's not because I'm happy to see you, Jerry. It's just steaming up my glasses from the mask.
This show powered by, of course, the Y.E.S team Realtors. You have a fabulous agent on the horizon. And before we get to her, Justine Montgomery, coming up on the show. You're excited about that.
Yeah.
What do we have planned for today's show?
Yeah, so I did a little bit of pivot on you guys early this morning because I wanted to spend the first few minutes of the show talking about realtor safety. I'm super passionate about that. So is all the folks at CAR, the executive team, the board, and so is the National Association of Realtors. Unfortunately, there was an incident in Roanoke last week where I think it was last Sunday, where a realtor was attacked at a home open house, was struck from behind, and she's actually in the hospital. And I sent out to our esteemed director, Judah, some links to help them out. You know, and I just thought this would be a great opportunity to talk about that. Maybe the general public really doesn't understand why we take safety so seriously.
I did not. Yeah, so I'm learning here. I did not.
Well, so based on 2019 NAR statistics, and we talk about National Association of Realtors quite a bit. They do many awesome things, but what they are really, in my opinion, really excel at is statistics. They've just have some super systems and to do that. But 2019, 33% of all realtors, so that's 1 in 3, said there was a situation that made them fearful for their personal safety. That's in an open house, driving somebody in a car, and basically, and then 5% of all realtors had some sort of, they've been a victim of a crime. So, and there's actually deaths that happen. There's a few of them happen a year. I was trying to dig up some stats early this morning, and I couldn't find them. But the fine folks at CAR are going to help me dig that up for some other class. So, just if you think about it a little bit, Jerry, right? So what happens? You're doing some great stuff for us here. You're pumping stuff out. We get phone calls. We get emails. We get texts. We're generally meeting people we've never met before.
Strangers.
Right?
Yeah.
Or you're having an open house. And the reason I want to talk a little bit about this is it seems like we're starting to get to the point where there's going to be some regular open houses. CAR has not, formally endorsed that, but I think you're going to start seeing that happening within the next couple to 3 weeks. And I just think real estate agents and realtors need to be careful about holding their open houses. So what happened to this young lady in Roanoke doesn't happen to our agents here. And it's very simple stuff. I used to teach a class, part of personal safety for particularly female women realtors. And I don't really want to get too much in the weeds in it, but the bottom line is it's situational awareness, right? Be aware of your circumstances, and I know what happens. We get super excited. We want to help somebody. It's what we do for a living. And then sometimes you start not thinking, right? Mm-hmm. And you're going to get into a car with somebody you never met before. And so you just need the situational awareness, just a little heads up. In the Marine Corps, we used to call it eyes up. A little bit of eyes up, understand what you got going in front of you. And then simple things like if you should do an open house by yourself, we encourage 2 people. I know it's difficult, but 2 people. Never let somebody get between you and a wall. Always make sure that your back is somewhere towards an exit, right? And I don't know the particular circumstances. I'd imagine the gentleman, and they arrested him, thank God.
Yeah, saw that.
I don't know the particular circumstances, but I'm sure at some point, because she was struck from behind, she let him get behind her. So it's simple things like that, and there's all this debate: should I carry weapons or not? And those who watch the show know I'm a Marine, and I've got 10,000 hours of actual hands-on training and some live stuff, which I care not to recite.
Sure.
But and I would never carry a weapon because my training is not that thing. And we talked off air and here, if you're within 10 feet of me and you have a handgun, I can take it away from you. So basically, situational awareness, make sure that you know what's going on in your surroundings, and then, make sure somebody's with you. Make sure people know where you are, right? So my wife and I share our locations all the time. As I get freaked out when she goes out by herself because, she's a pretty young lady.
Yeah.
And all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to start the beginning.
I'm freaked out for her.
Yeah. So, look, it's an unpleasant thing that we need to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
But, and
it's real life.
So, if Judah can do that, for the realtors watching, just as a reminder, at 1:00 today, NAR's putting on a safety webinar, and if we can jump that in the feed at some point in time, so folks can do it, it's free. It's put on by a pretty awesome gentleman that is a realtor that actually lost his mother, who was killed. And so he created this 501c3 where he goes around and teaches real estate agents and folks how to be a little bit safe.
So you said something great start to the show, guys. Give it a like and a share live on 12 Facebook pages. Thanks to fabulous folks like Marie Bett, Jason and Patrick. You see them on the side panels here. Water Street and Rose Hill Drive. Marie Bett just doing right things for this community. You said another thing that we need to highlight, and I'll work on Justine Montgomery. Justine, if you're listening, we'll give you a call here shortly. Open houses.
Yeah.
On the horizon. Why don't you go down that road? Because that's some fresh knowledge there for the viewers.
Well, I just think it's inevitable. It's going to happen, and certain brokerages, and I think Michael Guthrie chimed in once before in one of the conversations on it. Some brokerages are trying to get their agents rolling. Michael's doing a great job in training on how to do this, but I think we're getting ready for it. The folks that are listing their houses kind of want it. I can tell you from Yonna and I's perspective, we're not ready yet. I don't think it's ready yet, but there is no mandate that says you can't do that. It's a recommendation from CAR.
Sure.
And so I support what CAR's leadership is doing, and when it's right, they'll let us know. But all the brokerages out there are preparing themselves for that. And I just wanted to talk about the safety thing because once it happens, we need to do that. And before we bring in Justine, excuse me.
Justine is on the line. Judah, we'll go to her shortly.
She's laughing.
We do have her, Judah.
There's a story behind that. We'll talk about that later.
Okay.
But to see, she's laughing in my ear.
She's ready to go. She's ready to go.
But one of the important things about safety for realtors is that, not all of our offices are open, right? So normally a protocol would be if I'm going to meet you for the first meeting, we have it at the office, right? We have it in a public place. Well, coffee shops aren't open because we used to do that.
Sure.
So people just need to be smart and creative on how, when you get these leads in there, how you're going to meet them. Make sure they're in a public place. If your office is open, go in that. Just don't. You just got to meet somebody first and get a little bit of a conversation before you jump in a car and ride around. But
sure. Don't let the allure of a deal cloud your judgment when it comes to interacting with strangers. That's very good knowledge there from Keith Smith. Justine is on the line, Judah. If I have your green light, Judah, to welcome her to the show, I am getting Judah's green light there. You are live for Charlottesville, the Commonwealth, the country, and the world here, Justine, on 12 Facebook pages. Thank you for joining us on the show. Before we go into you here, what are your thoughts on the discussion we've been having here on safety? We had a pretty sad turn of events in Roanoke with a colleague of yours. I'll get out of your way. What are your thoughts on this topic matter?
Yeah, so this is a big one, and I have done myself a couple open houses, and while driving to them and going to set up and prepare for the open houses, it occurred to me that I was doing exactly what I tell my children regularly not to do. Never go anywhere by yourself. Don't let your friends go somewhere by themselves, look after each other, use the buddy system. So I think what Keith was saying earlier about making sure people know where you are, hopefully having somebody with you is really great advice and sort of the first steps of awareness.
There you go. Welcome Logan Foster to the show. Avenue Realty watching, Nest Realty watching the show, Real Estate 3, agents from all those firms. All right, and I'm going to pass you here to Keith. Before I do, introduce yourself to everybody. Who's Justine and what is she all about? Before we talk shop, you personally.
Okay, well, so I'm a mom. I have 3 kids. I have 2 daughters at UVA,
Nice.
One in the nursing school, one at McIntyre School of Commerce. My son, Alex, just graduated from Western, and he's going to be playing tennis at Virginia Tech next year.
Nice.
Yeah, so...
You got some smart kids.
I do. They're good kids. I'm lucky. So...
And then
yeah,
don't forget the horses.
Yeah, I have horses. Hi. I have horses and dogs, and my nest is almost empty, so I'm also a client of Keith and Yonna's.
And she is our client care coordinator for the company and works with us. And the whole Christine thing, we might as well get this out because I'm probably going to do it a couple of times. The executive director for the Regional Housing Partnership is named Christine, and my little brain gets them mixed up. So I constantly call Christine Justine and Justine Christine. So
now we have the fabulous Justine Montgomery on the show.
Justine, yeah, right. Yeah. So I just want to focus a little bit back on the safety thing, right? Because as you know, I'm pretty passionate about it. So the what happened to this young lady is tragic, but so when you do that, when you're talking about when you're doing that open house, do you use like an app, or do you like say, hey, this is where I'm at, or do you have some sort of emergency code?
You drop your pin with a friend? Is that what you do?
So, I mean, honestly, as a new agent, the first couple times I did open houses, I kind of, my family knew where I was, but, I was kind of vague about it. And that was, as I was in the house, which was empty, that was what occurred to me. Like, I'm really vulnerable here. And if one of my daughters, or even Alex as well, were putting themselves in that type of situation, I would be angry with them.
You would be pissed.
Them. So
yeah, right.
You would be pissed.
So I scolded myself, and so when I do open houses now, which I don't do them too often, but if I do or cover, I would certainly make sure that I had some, people knew where I was and what I was doing, and there are some good apps and things now that are available that agents can use.
So that webinar is at 1:00. Judah's going to put it on. Everybody who's watching, if they have an opportunity to do it, the gentleman is a dynamic speaker, and you'll get some good knowledge on that.
Yeah.
So today, I was hoping that we would talk about my 5 R's. My partner in crime over here gave me a bit of a hard time about it.
He added time to the 5 R's.
I added time.
She heard it, obviously.
I added time.
Yeah.
I heard it. Yes, I did. I was listening.
You had to make me think. I'm going, TR. Oh, yeah, that's right. So the 5 R's, as I explained it, is right location, right price, right features, right conditions, and right time. Right timing is everything. That's the 5th one that I added on. So, you were nice enough to let Yonna and I help you sell your house, which we did pretty quickly, I might add. And I kind of wanted to take a moment and talk about those 5 R's from your perspective, from a perspective of a recent home seller, right? So if I'm going to kind of get to use Jerry's terminology, I'm going to get out of the way and I try to adjust my mask and my glasses because they're fogging up tremendously.
What did you think about that experience, Justine? Put it in perspective. Give us the flip book.
So yeah, and actually Keith and I were sort of talking about this sort of the other day, and I am a licensed realtor, so I could have. And people have asked me, well, why did you use Keith and Yonna to list the house? If you're, a realtor, you could do it yourself. And So, it's my personal home. I've lived here for over 20 years and raised my family here. So it's pretty, it's hard to detach, I think, into, and have this as a transaction, and which is what, I do with Keith and Yonna on a daily basis on selling other people's homes. So, so it's been really great to have Keith and Yonna sort of take the lead, and, I can say, you know what, I need you guys to handle this, and that's been great. So, and so right off the bat, when we started with the listing, we really been figuring out what the price was going to be. We looked at all these other things: the location, the features of the house, the condition, and the timing, and we talked about all of those. And Keith and Yonna did a lot of research to sort of come up with a price. My house is a little bit unique, so because it's a post and beam house. It's on 8 acres.
Nice.
In Western Albemarle School District.
Good for you.
Yeah, so it's in the forest, and on the side of a hill, and so it's somebody who's who wants to live in a place like Old Trail or Western Ridge or something. It's a different market than for somebody who's looking to live where I live out here. And then probably a smaller market. So, we looked at all of those things. I don't know what.
So the reason I added time, right, was partly.
Yeah. Timing.
Well, it was partly because of how we helped you, and the
Right.
reason I added time into my 4 R's. I got it. 4 R's is because we found out through the process that you actually have Firefly now to your house, which is a high-speed broadband internet,
That's huge.
which is 1 gig, which is huge. So
Yeah.
you're talking on a 1 gig in Western Albemarle.
And we're giving you some props right now because we do this a lot, and you're coming in, and Judah's giving us props too.
Yeah.
You're coming in loud and clear and crystal, and this is like you're in the woods in Western Albemarle County. So this is huge
Yeah.
for her house.
That's exactly.
Thank you, Firefly.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally, I've had Firefly for 2 weeks. We just got it hooked up.
So we had the similar
So-
conversation with Donna Patton, another fabulous realtor, and we were talking about fair housing. And that particular day, we had a little bit of an issue with the earlier guest who was actually in the city.
In the city.
Who did not have the Donna Patton has Firefly and has 1 gig just like you.
Right.
And just the clarity, the sound is just
Night and day different.
Night and day different.
Yeah.
And just to say, so this 1 gig, this is their basic residential package. So I could pay more.
Can I ask you how much you pay a
Or-
month? Is that rude? Is that gauche to ask you that?
No, it's not, but I'm not sure I remember right off. I think it's around $65.
Oh my God.
It's 65.
I'm paying more than that with Comcast in Keswick, and we are desperate in our area in Eastern Albemarle County and folks that are watching. I think Stephanie's watching the show here. We've had this conversation. We are desperate for this in Eastern Albemarle County.
And for folks who are watching, if it may be a little bit more than that, but
it's $60. I looked on the website this morning.
That's a steal.
Yeah.
If it's under 100, it's a steal.
Right. I pay more and I don't have that.
Yeah.
And so
Well, and I could pay $100 for even more bandwidth. So if somebody who really
if your 3
does a lot
kids
at home.
if your 3 kids are at the house at the same time streaming and FaceTiming their homies, you may need it then, Justine.
or you might want to pay more bandwidth to send it my way.
Oh, stop! I don't like when you do that, Keith Smith. I don't like when
You and my wife.
I don't like when you do
and my
that.
wife don't like that.
I don't like that.
I don't like that. So we talked. So we knew this was coming. So we knew timing was important on it, and frankly, on the timing thing, the COVID-19 helped us, right?
Well,
go ahead, please.
yeah. So the timing was actually initially, or my initial discussion with you all was that I wanted to put the house on early spring, thinking for families, moving to the area, they'd be able to close and get settled in over the summer and be ready to go for the new school year. so we put it on, in March, and then on the heels of that, the COVID, sort of took over. So that sort of changed things. So there was timing played, in various different, it changed as we went through the process,
So we talk about the 5 R's now, and it's more of an art than it is a science, right? Because these things tend to mix and move and change, and where you need to keep a close eye on what's happening in the market and have communications with the client and say, hey, look, we see this happening. But I want to talk a little bit about pricing, because pricing it right, a home right is super important. Of course, everybody wants more, right? Everybody, our job is to maximize the amount of money, amount of money that you can receive, that you can net at the back end. But it's very important to price it right, because if you price it a little way too high, your viewership drops down. People stop seeing it. So the key is to hit your viewership goes up about 30%. If you hit it right on the spot. So how did you feel that we did through the pricing thing? And I'm going to let Jerry talk to you, because I got to fix this.
Sure.
Mask.
Yeah. Talk to us about pricing, and I got a question for you too, Justine.
Yeah. So we actually had a lot of discussion about pricing because my house is unique. It's post and beam house. It's 8 acres in Western School District. So there are pros and cons, but we're near Batesville. Location had a lot to do with it, and we've been here for 23 years. But it was hard to find comps because there isn't really anything like it. So Keith and Yonna really did a lot of sort of market analysis and houses, with garages, without garages, and square footage to really come up with a price, and we went a little higher initially. We went a little higher than what they recommended, but they said, okay, we'll give it a shot, and we did ultimately make a price adjustment and to where they told us initially we ought to be, and then we had a contract very soon after that. So. Yeah, so Keith is right.
I love it. Okay, let me. Can I throw this to you?
I wish my daughters were watching.
You're in a unique position, and why you're in a unique position is because you're in the game as a realtor selling your home, and you also have a extremely strong, like all of us do, emotional attachments to your house. So can you take us through that crossroads of being in the game, but also this is where my kid took their first steps and brought their friend home for prom and, walked for the, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm already seeing it with my wife, and we haven't been in this new spot that long. So how about that crossroads with a lot of homeowners that are watching that are also struggling with this same mindset? Because look, I was having this conversation. I look at it, and maybe it's because I'm an insensitive person. Sometimes my wife says that. I look at it like
Mrs. Miller, you're correct.
I look at it like it's a structure. Yeah. It's bricks. It's a place to sleep. Where she looks at it as like Trey walked there and had Christmas there.
Right.
So we always start our first conversations off with a seller. And they always want to go to numbers. We actually start our conversation off on moving the mindset from from a home to a house, right? So your wife it's a home.
Yeah.
It's a house to you.
For me, it's not even a house to me.
Well.
Okay, it's an opportunity for return on investment.
So it's a house.
All I look at
it's a house.
And you can call me whatever
you're a
you
heartless
call me.
Bastard. You know that?
That's all I look at it. She does not, and I have to respect it. Yeah. Let's get Justine's perspective. Your thoughts on this, because this is something that comes up all the time.
Yeah. So it's been a struggle, and I've kind of gone back and forth. Getting it ready to sell. Because I'm in the game and because I see, a lot of this is what we do. I see things in my house that you might not see. And so it was kind of easy for me to be, I had to calm myself down a little bit and like, nobody else is going to see that, and when Keith and Yonna, before we listed it, they came through and they walked through with me. They were like, wow, it looks great. It looks really ready to go. And I thought I had a bunch more work to do. And I was like, oh, okay, great. We're looking good. So there's that piece of just being, a professional and knowing what needs to be done to sell houses. But yeah, so it's also my home, and it's where,
A couple of decades.
We've lived for 23 years, and Alex, our youngest, he's never lived anywhere else. Rosie was just an infant when we moved here, and Madeline was about 2 when we moved here. So it's their home, and
you're getting a little, it's bittersweet for you. Yeah. I can tell. Even right now through Skype, I can tell that it's an emotional moment for you, right?
So all real estate is a moment.
No, for sure. I mean, it's definitely time for change, and it's the right time, but it's also, this is our home. But the home inspection, when people come in and they start nitpicking your house and say, oh, what about this? I'm like, look, this is a great house. We've lived here for 23 years, and, that was hard. And so I had to, buck up and, kind of let Keith and Yonna take the reins there, because.
So Justine has the misfortune of talking to me almost every morning at 7:00 in the morning.
Wow. Every morning at 7.
Pretty
Good
much
night.
So. Pretty much so.
Yeah. Well, no, so I'm an early morning person too, and just so you know, Keith, I was up at 3:30 this morning as well.
Good for you. What was your reason, or should I ask?
Well, so I got up early. I had to take a horse up to Ruckersville. So I was at the barn at 5:00, loaded her up, drove to Ruckersville, and then got back here to the house so I could be on with you all.
And have a phone call with me about somebody's home inspection on somebody's house that is going a little bit sideways. That I got Keith fix it, and I went, yes, ma'am, I will fix it.
Do what it takes.
Do what it takes. Get it done.
Get it done.
But this conversation we're having about this transition between, home to house is a very serious one, and all the realtors that are watching here, whoever may be watching, are super qualified to do that. But that's really where, at least for us, that's where we start our discussion.
So how does that work?
Yeah. So
and is it often, and I'm not trying to be sexist here, but is it often more with the mom and the wife?
No.
Okay.
So the Smiths are not trying, but we're having an internal debate about should we move, should we stay, or should we go?
In your case, you have the emotional attachment.
I have the emotional attachment. Yonna's ready to go.
Okay.
Me, I love my house, don't want to move out of it. But to ask you a little bit about how is what we've been talking about all month, right? Listen, learn, and act. And even though I like to talk a lot, I do listen from time to time.
You do. You're a good listener.
So listen, you've got to ask your W questions, like where, why, what, and get engaged. We're a little bit, we know Justine well, so we knew a little bit about the background story, but usually that's where we start, is tell me your story, right? Kind of what we do when we interview somebody, tell me your story, because we want to kind of get an understanding of what your motivation is. Yours is money. But other people.
He's my friend too, Justine.
I'm your friend. I am your friend. Did you just say that in front of everybody?
I say it all the time. I say it all the time.
So you want to get to all the good real estate agents on here. The first thing you want to do is not invest in marketing.
Yeah.
You want to invest in time in people, right? And that will come back in droves. And
what do you think about that, Justine? Let's see Justine's perspective on that. What do you think about that? What are you saying?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's about relationships and, a trusted advisor and developing that for sure.
So interesting, your buyer profile, right? We've been talking about this a lot lately, that the trends are moving out of the urban centers into the more rural. You were clearly in a rural area with some super fiber optics, fiber internet. But the buyer profile actually came out of Northern Virginia. We had multiple offers from folks out of
The buyer is from Nova.
Yeah.
So kind of the storyline that we're following closely
Correct.
of people wanting to leave densely populated areas.
That's exactly
so
right.
you go from Northern Virginia to 8 acres in Western Albemarle next to Batesville. That's the opposite end of the spectrum.
Yeah. We don't want to give away too many details because that's wrong and illegal.
Yeah.
But they're coming out of Nova.
Yeah.
Right? High pressure jobs.
Yeah.
They're coming down here to get work.
Can work from home?
Actually, can work from home. That was a huge. Other than that, look, Justine's house hit all the 5 R's.
Yeah.
Right. Was right location, right price, right features. But the features were huge because they were looking for 1 gig internet. And so
Good for you, Justine.
Yeah.
2 weeks in, lady. Good for you, Justine.
Yeah, we got that done.
Well, we got a couple of tweaks we need to do. Let's get too excited about it now.
Yeah.
So look, I just wanted to spend a few minutes with you to talk about the 5 R's. I'm going to let you pass you back to Jerry to wrap up, and I'm going to figure out how to get this mask from stop falling off.
Why don't we do this? And this is the toughest question I'm going to ask you, okay?
Uh-oh.
You ready for this?
Okay.
Final word,
Okay.
anywhere you want to go. And your thoughts on everything in Charlottesville, Central Virginia. You can go anywhere you want, literally anywhere you want on this. Show's yours.
Wow. Well, that's wide open. Charlottesville, I'm from New England. I'm from up north, and Charlottesville is just been an amazing place to raise a family. I mean, it's really, it checks all the boxes, and we just really feel really fortunate to have landed here and spent the last 23, 24 years here. And my mom's here now. She moved up from Florida. She lives here in Crozet, and so it's a great community, and we're like everybody else, we've hit some bumps in the road, but I think that we come out stronger for it, and the people band together, and it's a great place.
I agree.
So
I agree. I certainly hope so. You killed this today. You were so good.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank
Seriously,
you.
Keith
Well,
wants
thanks
to
for
say
having me
goodbye
on.
to you.
Goodbye, Justine, and I'll call you later.
Okay.
Thanks for
Very
joining
good.
us.
All right. Thank you.
Our pleasure. Absolutely our pleasure. Judah Wickhauer, good job right there with that guest. She was fabulous. Really like Justine. Give it a like and a share on any of the 12 Facebook pages you guys are watching the show on. If you'd like to relay any commentary, just put it in the comments section and I will pass it along. 8 acres, Western Albemarle, phenomenal school district. Not much competition on the market from an inventory standpoint. We have a pandemic that's influencing social behavior and human behavior, driving people from densely populated areas to suburban areas because they have the benefit of working from fiber in the country and having a job in Nova. So, I mean, this is win, 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 win for everybody.
Across the board.
Across the board.
It was.
Because they're going to take Nova money and bring it to Western Albemarle.
That's literally what they're doing.
Yeah. So they have Nova earning potential, Western Albemarle overhead, so they improve their margin,
Sure.
household margin, and their quality of life as well. And she gets what she wants, and you get phenomenal. I love when this happens.
It's a win-win all the way across the board, and it's I think the world of Justine. We work together regularly. She does this for other folks, not just us. The client care coordination for the company, but we've gotten to the point. It's kind of like I remember when it started. That commercial, State Farm commercial, when the guy's talking on the phone and his wife comes down.
Oh yeah, who are you talking to? It's 3 in the morning.
It's 3 in the morning.
Chuck from State Farm.
Chuck.
You're talking to Chuck from State Farm at 3 in the morning. What are you wearing?
Khakis.
Khakis.
So, in the beginning, because we're both early people, we're talking at 6:30, 7 o'clock.
Wait, and Yonna comes
And
downstairs.
Yonna comes down and goes, "Who the hell are you talking to?"
Justine.
Justine.
What are you wearing, Justine?
Khakis. Well, in her case, she just, by the time 7 o'clock happens, she's already back from the barn with the horses, which I really wanted to talk a little bit about. She's a pretty awesome horse person.
Yeah, horse person.
Horse person.
I got comments coming in from Realtors from you. This is
Yeah.
from Ashley Journey. And Ashley Journey does a hell of a job with her branding. I'm very impressed with her. even if people know where we are, they can't prevent an attack if they aren't there. So how do we protect ourselves if situations arise? Most attacks are done by people who've established some level of trust with us. What's your opinion, Keith? I'm a young female realtor. I feel like I'm a primary target. Would like to hear from someone with more experience than me. I will add to this, and Ashley, not only a young female realtor, she's gorgeous as well, and it's facts. So she's asking for advice from someone who's taken the class, and you, or taught the class.
Sure.
Taught
So
the class.
in this particular, thank you. In this particular case, it was an unknown person. They walked into an open house and she was attacked. But you're 100% right.
Is it normally established trust where it happens?
I'd have to dig into the data. It's been my reading and experience. It's not been that case. It's not been an established.
But regardless,
it's you got to build a relationship. We just talked about this with Justine. It's the same thing on the buying side, right? You got to build a relationship, and it's a struggle now because you don't have offices to go to, or you can't go to Starbucks, or you can't
because of their closed. You're saying because COVID.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
That's exactly
so
right.
before, how you would? I mean, can't you when you're? And I'm just spitballing here.
Sure.
Okay. I don't have to meet strangers as often as you. Occasionally, I do. What I do is I use social to vet the person, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, see if I can get some knowledge on the stranger I'm meeting. I then, fortunately, have an office like this that's a very public setting with people here where I can meet them in a safe spot. But would you encourage the folks that are watching to use digital and social to maybe vet the person first? Or are you saying, look, strangers are just going to come randomly into an open house and you're not even prepared for that?
Correct. So it's a twofold thing. You're both right on both sides. One is, yes, without being creepy, right? You want to do a little homework, right? A quick Google search.
Does the guy have a job? Is he married? Is she married? You know what I'm saying?
Well,
yeah.
Just do a quick Google. Do your homework, just like you would do for anything else. But in this particular case, it was an open house, right? So this particular individual walked in. So and I'm not really sure what brokerage the realtor is in, but I would talk to the broker and find out what their policies are. And I would also get on to NAR's website. They have some great tools and recommendation for it. But, we're in the people business, and you're going to have to learn how to read people. I have a bit of an advantage because of what I did when I was in the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
So I can kind of...
And you're also got street smarts.
Well, yeah.
I mean, street smarts go a long way. I mean, there's, from my experience, and I'm just, you two guys spitballing, you got the book smarts, you got the street smarts, and both offer value.
Sure.
Obviously, you want both. If you can get both, you're a force. But the street smarts, what you have folks that have street smarts have an inherent sense to uncertainty or unsafety around them. Not everybody has that.
But the comment made, that this particular portion of the comment is very important. I've been doing it for 40-something years.
Touche.
Right? So I've gotten to the point that I can, body language tells me a lot and all this stuff. And also, I'm a guy. Right? Huge difference. And a young realtor, a female realtor in particular, it's something you just need to be, you need to be cautious, but don't let fear overtake. Sure. Doing
How about mace?
Excuse me?
Mace or pepper, the keychain mace.
Oh, man.
No?
No. Yeah, some people like some.
You know the ones I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
A little canister. Yeah.
I've been involved in it. 9 times out of 10, the wind will blow back in your own face, and then you just hurt yourself.
Right.
The best thing to do is avoid the circumstances all over, situational awareness, learn how to read people a little bit better, right, and do that. But we're in the people business, right? So you got to learn how to read people.
Michael Guthrie, the CEO of Roy Wheeler's watching. Justine Montgomery is a rock star. She's an incredible asset to Roy Wheeler Realty Company.
I'd agree.
Not just a horse expert, but her son is headed to Virginia Tech to play tennis, an all-around impressive person. Yonna, your wife.
So let's back up for a second. Do you realize how huge that statement was from Michael?
Yeah.
Because he is Mr. UVA.
Right.
To give a shout out to
Virginia Tech.
Virginia Tech.
Right.
It's huge.
And she's got two daughters at UVA,
I believe
McIntyre
so, right?
School of Commerce and Nursing. Yonna says, always have a person, know where you are, and a code word on the phone to text or call when you feel in danger and call for help. introduce yourself to the neighbors before the open house to let them know you and your team members will hold an open house this weekend. Always hold a keychain, and I always hold a keychain in my hand from Yonna Smith.
Well, that's great in an urban environment, but this particular attack was in the countryside where it was like in the middle of some acreage. But good protocol questions. Again, speak to your broker. They have protocols. NAR has very clear protocols to do it. And, if you're a young real estate agent involved in this, reach out to somebody that's got decades of experience and talk to them a little bit about that. On the other hand, you tend to be a little bit too comfortable when you have that experience and, it's situational awareness.
Situational awareness. Joseph Gentile's watching for
Hey,
Pearl
Joe.
certification. He's watching on Long Island. We love Joe Gentile on this show. We were very
Shout
excited.
out to Joe, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Joe, I'm going to bring you back on and put in the feed. Tell me how you're doing out there, brother, and how things are on Long Island.
Yeah, please, Joseph Gentile. We love you here. Kelly Jackson, James Watson, Patrick Robinson, Josh Elwood, welcome to the program. Live on 12 Facebook pages. We wanted a micro market update, my friend.
Yeah, so actually, I'm going to try to pivot a little bit on you on that. I was going to be a little bit more macro, a little bit more about where the buyer profiles are. As far as the micro goes, Lake Monticello, we've been talking about this lately. We talked about it yesterday on the show that I should have bet you, and I could have had another bottle of bourbon. That, that's where the trend is going. There's less than 30-something houses on the market out of 4,200 homes. They're in the right price point.
So that's less than 1%.
That's a half.
Yeah.
Right. So it's pretty interesting. We just saw one where we have a couple of clients who are trying to buy out there. There was a $350,000 home in the golf course section that went within hours.
Multiple offer?
Don't know. We weren't involved in it.
$350K on the golf course, went within hours in Lake Monticello. That's a very telling sign because $350, and I've learned from you, $350 at the lake, and it's toward the top of the market.
It is.
So if something toward the top of the market within the gates at the lake is going within a couple of hours, it shows the market is hot, prices are going up.
Unless you're waterfront. Waterfront's a whole different animal.
What's waterfront at the lake?
Between 4 and 6. There's some a little bit higher. There's just not a lot on the market.
Yeah.
On that.
Six gets you prime waterfront on the lake?
But you just don't see a lot of turnover on
They
that.
don't turn.
They just don't turn, yeah. So what I wanted to talk a little bit about is, where folks are moving to, kind of talk a little bit about Lake Monticello.
Yeah.
Or in the rural end of it, and we touched it on the show a little bit yesterday. But every year, NAR puts out a generational report, right? And this generational report talks about folks who are buying and selling and what their profiles are. Just in very high levels, I wanted to talk about it. But what's important, the 20 report actually went from June 18 to July 19, and then the following year. But in 2019, 53% of folks aged between 22 and 39 bought in a suburban subdivision. Only 14%, and these are millennials, bought in the urban thing. So everybody's talking about, millennials and urban, and then really it's the opposite. And it's a trend because the 2018 numbers, 2019, which is really 2018, was 48%. So they're starting to move out there, and I think what you're going to see with the COVID-19...
It's magnifying it, more momentum behind it.
It's going to magnify it, and 38% of all the buyers are millennials in this 22 to 39 age group. So I just kind of want to talk a little bit about that and see what kind of feedback you might have had, because you're kind of in that age group.
I am in that age group. I am a millennial. We moved. Well, we were living in Redfields, and we moved to the eastern side of the county in Albemarle for the exact reasons millennials are doing it. We have a little boy. He's 2. We want him to have the quintessential American dream of the white picket fence, the backyard, the blow-up inflatable that we could have, the sprinkler running through. Daddy can be in his cargo shorts without a shirt on, drinking a beer in the backyard, and no one's going to heckle him. So that's what we did. And I think we're going to see more of it. I 100% agree with you. It's going to be magnified, and more momentum is going to happen with folks, say, 30 to 45, wanting more space, especially if they're working from home. I think that, and you've predicted this, that Fluvanna, Green, and maybe that Zion's Crossroads quarter over Waynesboro, it already had massive momentum at the start of 2020, at the end of 2019. It's going to have even more momentum.
I totally agree with you. As you know, as we've been debating this for a while, I just think you're going to see it, and there's a bunch of projects coming online.
Tell us about those. This is how I learned.
Yeah. So in Fluvanna County, there's a 325. It's actually started construction, a 325 unit subdivision that has a mix of apartments, townhomes, and single family detached.
Nice.
And 80,000 square feet of commercial.
That's impressive. So 325 units.
Mm-hmm.
You think it's probably, 3 people per unit? Average?
Well, yeah, it depends on who you read. Some people say 2.5, 2.1, but it's
so for the sake of conversation, 3.
Sake of 3.
So we're saying an additional, say, 11, rough math, back of the paper math, back of the napkin, an additional 1,100 or so people in this neighborhood in Fluvanna. That's huge.
Mm-hmm.
What's the population of Fluvanna County?
About 27,000.
Okay, so 27,000, we're adding an additional 1,100. So quick math, that's an additional what? 5%?
That's exactly right.
We're increasing the population of Fluvanna by 5% from this project alone.
Plus the 80,000 square feet of commercial. That's important.
Right. Creating more jobs.
Creating more jobs, more revenue for the county. It's just.
And your boy Brian, who came on this show, had that $300,000 program that he initiated for small business and entrepreneurship in Fluvanna County. Fluvanna County is booming.
Yeah. So though I live there, I think it's growing. But you're going to see this the same in Zion's Crossroads. So Zion's Crossroads and our dear friend Chris Henry, and they got a couple of projects going out that way, and a couple other developers going on. And at the end of the day, there's going to be anywhere between 400 to 600 more residential units there, plus a bunch of commercial. So they're going there. The water's going there. The water has the tower in place. And then, I think you're going to see green go on. Will Charlottesville always turn homes? Absolutely. Right now, if you were to put something on the market,
if it's a good condition, it'll turn.
Right price, good condition, good features, it'll sell. It'll sell like that. And we cover, Yonna and I cover pretty much the whole 25-mile radius around Charlottesville. But we just wanted to talk a little bit about Fluvanna, and because I just think you're going to be seeing. I hate this term, but people are going to be driving to qualify, right? Because if you can't afford something here.
Well, you changed it yesterday. It's not even drive till you qualify anymore. It's like drive to you. What did you call it? Drive till you find? Or it's like drive to. What would you had a nice ring to it.
Yes, you expect me to remember what I said.
It was great. It's the mindset's changed. Now you're driving till you can find something.
That's exactly right. So it's not a qualification thing any longer. And I'm sorry, folks, about this new mask I have. It's not exactly working the way it should. But yeah, so it's not driving till you qualify, it's driving to what's available. Right? So, and we have clients saying, okay, I've got a meeting today, I need something. They need to buy, and they need to buy now. And they have a very narrow, what they can afford, right? And so we're trying to figure out where that product is or where that home is for them to buy. So you drive until you find something.
How's Fluvanna County from receptive to small business?
So we know Brian Rothermill came on. They are very super aggressive to bring in businesses in it. I think their major hang up as far as larger businesses was water. They're fixing that now. They have the tower that's just the water system's just about built and finished. So we're going to have some more infrastructure in Zion's Crossroads. So I think we're going to start attracting more businesses. I mean, if you think about it, Lake Monticello itself has roughly 14,000 people.
Right.
Lake
Monticello itself has roughly 15,000 people. So you have 4,200 homes. At the lake, you got to figure it's at least 3 per home there.
That's exactly right. So
is that right?
Well, there's a lot of retarees and there's empty nesters, but I would say 3 per home as an average times 42.
So there's your 15K.
It's roughly 15,000.
So total population in Fluvanna County, you said was 27K.
Roughly 27, yeah.
And of the 27K that live in Fluvanna County, 15K
Roughly.
live in the Lake Monticello.
I think it's a little less than that.
Within the gates.
Yeah, well, there's different sections. There's some sections outside. But as far as Lake Monticello itself, let's call it 15,000 just for a second.
Right here on this program.
Yeah.
Michael Guthrie says, what a difference a couple years makes at Lake Monticello. And he's very right.
Well, when Yonna and I moved there in 1987, out of 40, so there's 4,500 lots, there was only 600 homes in 1987. From 1987 to now, it's basically built out.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong. I'm learning from you. A few years ago, was it more of a snowbird brand? Snowbird Snigba?
No, actually, well, no. So Lake Monticello, if we're going to go through a little bit of history, which I know a little bit about.
I would love to learn.
Yeah, so it started in 1968. It was supposed to be a vacation community for the Northeast. So
can we turn this into a sizzle reel, Judah, here? We'll play this on today's show. So start it again. So this is the sizzle reel here. We're going to play it on the I Love CVille show. Here we go. You ready?
So I got to remember what I just said.
It started in 1968 is what you said. You can remember started in 1968. All right, here's
I
the
knew I
sizzle
was
reel.
in trouble today when we walked in the door.
You're killing it. You're killing it.
Okay.
So Keith Smith,
All right.
please tell us the history of Lake Monticello.
All right, 1968, it was started. You're killing me, Miller. Right, 1968 it was started, right? And so it was a vacation community from Northern Virginia. So there's a particular subdivision that I personally built inside of Lake Monticello called the Acres, which I live in. I bought the last 150 acres and turned it into 1 acre lots, right? The Acres, real original name.
I like it.
Branding guy.
So 150 lots.
Yeah, rough, a little bit less than I carved off some land for some other stuff. But what it was an airport. It was zoned as an airport. So the intent in 1968 is people would fly in. It was a vacation. You'd fly in for the weekend and you leave out. And it sat pretty much stagnant from the late 60s up into the early 80s. Then a company by the name of Course Control Marketing came in out of Northern Virginia. And what they did is put a bunch of options on lots. And that's when...
Options on lots.
Yeah. So what they did is there was a ton of lots left open. You owned a lot. They weren't selling. You would go ahead, the company would give you $50 and say, I'm going to lock up the lot and go ahead and sell it. And what they did is they advertised in Daily News, Newsday, all the Northeast New York newspapers. It's the reason why there's a lot of Yankees there.
Sure.
This one included, because that's
Yeah.
exactly how I came down. So what would happen is they pay you $150, you'd come down, they tour you around, you'd buy, because this is what I did, you buy a $40,000 lot that was only worth $5,000 at the time, 1987. I paid $40,000 for a $5,000 lot. Very long story. What happened was hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of New Yorkers came down here. My whole family came down here, and then it started becoming a retirement community in the late 80s up until the early 2000s, and that's where we built a bunch of houses up in there. Then all of a sudden, the boom happened, and then a lot of it became a bedroom community for Charlottesville. Then the crisis happened. The
2008.
The Great Depression happened.
Yeah, 2008, 2009. What happened then?
And it just kind of stagnant. There was a lot of foreclosures and so forth and so on. It is now re-ramping back up to be more of in my opinion, a bedroom community for Charlottesville.
Undoubtedly.
Yeah. So
because it has inventory, fair price points, with the benefit of proximity to the interstate and quick access to town.
So there's basically 3 owner profiles out there, right?
I bet you I can get them. You ready?
Go ahead.
You ready?
Go.
All right. Owner profile number 1 is somebody that happens to be in their late 50s, maybe knocking on the door of 60.
I'm sitting right here.
2 very beautiful people, very distinguished. They like to go about town. They're connected, empty nesters that are considering selling their home. That's owner profile number 1. Is that right?
Could be.
Okay. Owner profile number 2 at Lake Monticello is someone that loves Charlottesville, could not afford a home in the city or Albemarle County, but saw Fluvanna just outside of city of Fluvanna and got an opportunity to buy a home from $175 to $300.
You're doing good so far.
Profile number 3 is someone that is probably residual from that campaign that attracted Yankees to Lake Monticello. And they're either snowbirds, second homeowners, or they're relatively new to the area.
Yeah. You want a real estate license?
No. I learned from you.
Yeah, so that's...
I learned from you.
So that's basically it. You know, you have the people that moved here in the 80s and the 90s. Usually they retired out of New York in the 40s and the 50s, so they're up there. And
they're about to sell their homes.
They're about to sell their homes.
Their inventory is going to change.
Well, the inevitable has happened, right? The second buyer profile is Keith and Yonna, right? You know, the empty nester, the kind of almost on the cups of retiring. And then the other third on it is what I call a bedroom community. These are folks. So this particular project I was talking about that it's called Colonial Circle that has the 325 units and the 80,000 square feet. VDOT and the developer.
Who's the developer behind that?
I'd rather not say.
Okay.
So the
Do you have ties to it?
I do.
Okay, phenomenal.
So the roundabout that's getting built, the developer dedicated the land to go ahead and do that. So there's a roundabout being
Is that a proffer?
Proffer's a strong word.
Okay.
We
Is that an olive branch to encourage the green lighting of the development?
So we worked very closely with the county to get that in there because this was the first project that went through the new smart scale system that VDOT has, Virginia Department of Transportation has. So in order for that to happen, it was a very collaborative effort, and the county came to us, we came to them, and we ended up getting some magic happening because there was quite a few deaths at this intersection. That was the first smart scale project ever to be built in the state of Virginia. But that roundabout will have 18,000 cars a day go through it.
That's serious.
So there's
18,000 cars a day go about that roundabout in a community that has a population of roughly 27,000. That's an incredibly trafficked and valuable roundabout.
Yeah. So on the commercial side, right, there's, hopefully we're working on maybe a gas station or something because you just got huge traffic going through it. And the beautiful thing about the roundabout is you got to slow down.
Right. So you see,
so the visibility,
it creates value for the businesses around there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Michael wants this topic. He's loving the show. When we get in our zones here, do you not forget the cameras and the microphones?
I have no idea.
For the last 20 minutes, I've forgotten about it.
I've forgotten it. The only thing I can't stand is this mask.
Michael says, ask Keith about the inventory at the lake 2 years ago versus today.
Great question, Michael. So we pretty much in the last few years out at Lake Monticello's never really went over more than 1 or 2% inventory.
So 4,200 homes, never over 1 or 2%,
80
42 to 84 at listings at one time on the market.
80 to 100 was considered high.
Okay.
I will tell you when I came here.
So that's 2% and change.
So I'll tell you when I came in 1987, there were 600 houses and 300 of them for sale.
Give me that stat again.
So in 1987, there were 600 homes at Lake Monticello. 50% of them, 300 of them, were on the market at the time.
When you came here in 87 and half the homes in the neighborhood were for sale, did that concern you?
Well, I was a little younger, so
did that concern you?
No, it didn't. I just saw opportunity, right?
You saw negotiation potential.
No, I just saw
what you could build.
I saw 4,000 lots that needed houses on them.
Gotcha. The quintessential entrepreneur.
There you go. I saw an opportunity, took it. Yeah. So, but Michael's right. I will tell you a better number, which I can dig up, is in 08 and 09. The number was much higher than that because
08 or 09. I would love to hear. What's the back of the napkin estimate?
Yeah, a couple hundred. But again, it never got to 10%, right? So 10% 400. And something lots.
10% would be roughly 420, right?
Yeah.
So 5%, you're looking at 210.
Yeah. So it wasn't much ever over 5%. I'd have to dig up the exact numbers on it. But yeah, so thank you for the question, Michael. It's really great. And speaking of which, Michael will be in next Friday.
A husband and wife realtor tandem that has connections to a neighborhood and experience with the neighborhood and a neighborhood that's booming in popularity. And like Monticello, a husband and wife realtor tandem could be a very valuable asset to this community. I happen to know one in Keith and Yonna Smith for Lake Monticello. We clearly see a bunch of inventory that's about to go on the market in the next 12 months in this community.
Yeah. So look, if you're, and it's just not Lake Monticello, right? It's the whole area, the whole region. I'll
tell you from what I've seen here, and I'm just throwing this out there. In the neighborhood I live in the East Side, is going through the same thing.
Sure.
Like, there are so many folks that are up there in age that are sitting in 4,000 to 6,000 square foot homes in Glenmore that live there by themselves.
Oh yeah.
That are like, we need to sell.
So I actually
It's gonna have huge. It's gonna be. It's essentially. Is this the right word for this? It's not gentrification. It's like ageification that's happening here.
Well, I don't know if there's a word for.
What's the word for this?
Michael might know.
What's the word for this, Michael? When you have an aging population in a neighborhood, when the aging population makes up a large market share of the neighborhood, and that aging population in droves starts to put their homes on the market, creating a turn of demographic from aging to young in a neighborhood. That is happening in my neighborhood too.
So I think I would call it a transitional neighborhood. It's just transitioning from one. But neighborhoods and subdivisions and cities and stuff, they're a living thing, right?
Sure.
And it has its...
There's like a living, breathing entity.
It's exactly right. It has its ebbs and it has its flows, and so you'll see. It's funny you should say that. I actually built the first house in Glenmore many decades ago, and it's exact same situation. The gentleman was retired at the time, and this was 25 years ago, and I think he's ready to sell his house now.
Pro tip coming from the folks at Feast and the Market Street Market.
About my math.
Or excuse me, the Main Street Market, the Purple Building. Erin King, friend of the program. She's the director of marketing and the director of catering over there. She says, pro tip for Lake Monticello. Feast offers free grocery and gift delivery to the lake.
Hey.
Use promo code LAKE when checking out online at Feast, Virginia.
Isn't this awesome?
Yeah.
Right?
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
She's watching at her business at Feast and saying, Lake Monticello, go to our website and use the promo code LAKE, and we're going to give you free grocery and gift delivery.
So is my wife still watching?
She's still watching.
Yeah, write that thing down, babe.
That's right.
Write that thing down. We need some groceries.
CEO Michael Guthrie calls it's a downsizing direction.
Okay, there you go. I knew he would know.
Downsizing direction.
Yeah, sure, that makes sense. So totally makes sense. So it's kind of why Yonna wants to do what she wants to do. I just like my stuff too much. But, we don't need 3,600 square feet of house, except when all the grandkids come, and then you need it.
This is Ashley is still watching the program. Ashley is phenomenal. She says, thank you for the sweet comments. This was the young agent that asked a question. She says, thank you for the sweet comments and for the advice. I carry some pepper spray and didn't realize it sprays back in your face. Experience is really the key. Recently, I've been taking my assistant with me to situations I'm unsure of. I feel blessed to have one. And Keith, this is such good information on today's show. A lot of buyers are concerned because they see lots of homes for sale in a community, but the truth is there are just so many homes there, and it's a very active community, and people want to live there.
So we're going to have to get her on.
You should.
She's a rock star, so the invitation's out there.
Okay, you want me to do a Facebook intro afterwards?
Go ahead and do
Ashley
that.
Journey.
I'd like to get her out there, but she's spot on. One thing that I heard in that whole thing, she's fortunate enough to have an assistant.
She's with Town Realty.
She's fortunate enough to have an assistant. Bring it with you. If you feel, look, it's really safe. If you don't feel right, then it ain't right. It's that simple. If it don't feel right, it ain't right. Bring an assistant with you, or if you don't have an assistant, all these brokerages that are watching, I know at our company, if you pick up the phone and you call Keith and Yonna and you're a real estate agent, or you call any of the
you guys would be there in a heartbeat.
In a freaking heartbeat,
yeah.
Right? So just tell me, let's make it happen, and we will be there. If safety is a concern, it's not even thought about twice.
How about the second comment about the neighborhood? And
yeah.
That's a good comment. That's a good way of looking at it.
It's a good comment. And if somebody would drive around Jefferson Drive at Lake Monticello, it's 10 miles. I know it because I've been biking it lately.
I see.
You see a lot of for sale signs as you're driving around, but that's not a representation of the whole project, the whole subdivision, right? There's 4,000, 3,000.
Can you have for sale signs in the yard at the lake?
Yes, you can.
You can. Okay. Because some HOAs prevent that.
No, you can. You have to. There's some restrictions for it, but it's pretty simple.
Michael says, given COVID-19, the move out of neighborhoods like this will slow down a little bit due to folks nervous about moving into more confined spaces or people coming into the house.
100%. But then tying that to the safety thing, right? So COVID is making it harder already, and then you got to be thinking about the safety thing, because now, whatever the protocols that Michael's going to have or other brokerages are going to have for open houses when they come in here, it's probably not going to be you can't have 50 people in it. It's going to have to be very staged. So maybe in one way it's helpful because you're going to have a little bit more interaction with somebody. We're very fortunate this time of the year. Maybe you can meet somebody outside before you bring them in, have a bit of a conversation, roll it around COVID-19, kind of do a quick little interview so your comfort level is up. But here it's really simple. This particular agent in Roanoke was hit from behind, which tells me she let this guy obviously get behind her. And that's a huge no-no. Never turn your back to somebody you don't know. And it's just always position yourself in a way that you're in front, that they're in front of you, or if you're going to go into a bathroom and you ask me to open the door for it, I'm going to step back and let you open the door and let you go in the bathroom. I'm not going to walk in. And oh, by the way, this is not mutually exclusive to women. There are men that are being attacked. There is actually a few, unfortunately, rape cases of that. So it's not mutually exclusive to females. Just use your head.
Good show today.
It was great. I didn't realize.
Right. 10 minutes over. I didn't realize either. I loved it. Good knowledge, easy flow, good
Judah,
Let's get Judah in.
Let's get Judah on the camera.
All right, can we ask him a question? All right, ask him a question. You ask him the question. Your show. Judah, you get ready, baby. The camera's about to be on you, dude.
Judah.
Give him on the mic, though, in the mic.
Hey, Judah, what's it really like to work with this guy every day? I know what it's like for me. Does that put you on the spot, Judah?
Do it. Put him on the spot.
Yeah, I'm going to have to plead the fifth on that.
8 years Judah and I have worked together. Love him like family.
Expect repercussions.
Literally spend more time with Judah than I do my family.
Judah, I will protect you.
I know you will.
I will.
And Liza, you're the I Love CVille mascot. Can you get Liza out of there on your camera, Judah, so people can see the I Love CVille mascot? Liza, come out here. Go to your camera. Liza.
So
there
why?
She is. There's Liza. Go to your camera, Judah.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to show.
Liza the dog. There's the I Love CVille mascot. Liza the dog here.
Hold on.
On camera. Liza, we love you, Keith. This dog loves Keith.
That's because I bring her bones
Probably
every time I
because Keith
come.
gives her steaks when he gets here. Show's yours, my friend.
Yeah, just to wrap up, the real estate agents that are still watching today at 1 o'clock, do this webinar. It's free. It's put on by Carl Carter Jr. Get into your portal or whatever. It's some great knowledge on it, and he's a dynamic speaker. You won't regret it.
Well said. Michael Guthrie has a question for Judah.
Ooh.
And you can answer this question, Judah. Are you ready for this? This is from Roy Wheeler Realty Company Chief Executive Officer Michael Guthrie for Judah. Judah, if you were to buy, where would you purchase your home? Well, he just went through this. Ooh. Judah, the show is yours. Captivate the audience, my friend.
Let's sit and listen.
Yes.
Oh, man. That's a tough question because I did just buy a place in Stonehenge. So I have not been looking to buy a new house anywhere.
Yeah, but when you were looking for that,
I wasn't looking. I was already living there for the last 10 or 11 years.
He bought the place that he was renting.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's smart move.
Smart move, right?
Smart move. That saved on your moving expenses.
Didn't have to move at all.
Good for you. Good for you.
But if I did want to buy another place, I think I would. It'd be nice to live closer to my parents.
Well, and
Not
you
to
have
be
a
that far
plan.
away.
Tell him your plan. He's got a plan for his property. Give us the update on the plan. What's the? I love this part. I love the goals. Give us the 5 and 7 year goals with your property.
Okay. Well, I suppose if once I've put enough money into the house and saved some more money of my own, I would like to find a new place and start renting this place out.
Love it.
So, Jerry, pay him more money. Right?
He's the highest paid non-owner in advertising in Charlottesville. That's true.
He still needs more money.
He's the highest paid non-owner.
Judah,
Man,
I'll work on more money, and then we'll help you buy something.
Thank you, Keith Smith. Thank you, Keith Smith. I love Keith Smith. Judah, you did well with that. Seriously, dude. Thank you for sharing that perspective. Guys, great show today. If you need a trusted advisor, do you see the effort that this man and his beautiful 7/8s, Yonna Smith, put into working with you guys? I mean, it is like this guy will go to the wall and back for you. And it's the Y.E.S team Realtors. I mean, now is the time to sell your house. There's no inventory on the market. If it's in good condition, if it comes in at a good price, It's going to move.
So I think we're going to close out with this video that we've been showing. Summer is the new spring,
Yeah.
which
Well,
reminds.
you certainly hope so.
I certainly hope so. Well, Michael Guthrie's got me covered no matter which way I go. So
Well, Michael Guthrie is buying your bourbon if you lose this bet. He said it.
He's covering.
Yeah,
me.
I like Angel's Envy, Michael Guthrie. I like Angel's Envy. No, we'll go with Riggleman's bourbon.
That's what's the deal.
We'll go with Riggleman's bourbon. Riggleman's bourbon is good.
But truly, the summer is the new spring market. We're starting to see uptick on new listings, active listings coming in. They're not a lot, but it's a little. And but the ratio of coming on and going off is almost 2 to 1. So there's a lot of room to go. So watch that video. Spring, the summer is a new spring.
Judah, we'll get that ready to go. So many agents on the feed today
Cool.
have said great show
Thank you.
today.
Thank you.
Judah's got a question for you, Keith. Do that into the mic, my friend, Judah.
Keith, the video you sent me was about reasons to own a home.
Excuse me?
The video you sent him
no.
is the reasons to own the home.
Oh, I thought I sent you the summer one.
That may have been last week.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what.
Let's play that video.
If you got that one, I'd love to play it, but if it's not embedded in the one I sent you, sorry, everybody.
No, let's play the reasons to own a home. 6 agents have said on the show in the last 30 seconds, today was a great program.
Thank you. Well, we just have fun.
We have fun.
Yeah.
But you've noticed when we talk shop, that, it's good.
Well, I love talking shop with you, and you're 100% right. I forget, I always
When we
start.
talk shop, we forget that this is around.
I always start the show kind of thinking about, okay, where am I at with
Right.
the camera, and then I forget.
To a testament to the content, it's 15 minutes over. We have a show in 59 minutes. All right, so Judah, you have that video ready to go?
Are you kicking me out?
I am kind of kicking you out here. This is Real Talk, powered by the Y.E.S team Realtors. The show airs on Tuesdays at 10:15 a.m. and on Fridays at 10:15 a.m. Tune into Friday's show because you have a big-time guest.
We have 2 big-time guests coming on. We have the man, the myth, the legend. Michael Guthrie's going to come in.
He's big time.
And then he's going to introduce a young lady by the name of Jamie Norwalk. Excuse me, I've mispronounced it. This is with Buffini and Company. This is the largest coaching company, real estate coaching company in the United States. And Jamie's going to come on in and just bring some knowledge onto us. So I'm super excited. I'm so excited I got tongue-tied on it. So I'm really,
That's a big time guest.
This is a big time
This
guest.
is like, if you're in the real estate game, this is a nationwide caliber guest.
Let's put it this way. She's going to chime in at 7:30 in the morning, her time.
Yeah, so 7:30 in the morning, her time. She's in Cali?
Yep.
Whereabouts in Cali?
San Diego.
Well, she's living the dream. She living the dream?
We'll let her tell you that. Let her tell you.
Judah, you got that video ready to go, baby? Yep. All right, guys.
Thanks,
Friday
guys.
at 10:15 a.m. Don't miss that show. Judah, give us that video in 3, 2, 1.